If you're 40 to 70 years old, you'll want to see this. In a short 5-minute video, I'll show you what arteries can look like as you age, something most people never get to see, and explain why clean, flexible arteries help support a healthier life. An AGA screening focuses specifically on the heart and blood vessels. During the screening, we take 15 measurements, 2 of which I would like to explain so that you can see how important those are. AGA means arterial waveform analysis. But what exactly is an arterial wave? When the heart pumps, it causes an arterial wave. And this wave starts at the heart and travels straight down the large aorta, where, at the point where the aorta splits into 2 arteries, it returns to the heart. This is the reflected or returning wave, of which the speed is very important. This is an example of the wave pattern of a 25-year-old. When the heart generates a wave, it travels downward, touches the bifurcation, and returns low in the systole. When the heart pumps blood, it is called the systole, and when the heart rests, it is called the diastole. Unlike the rest of the body, the heart only receives its own blood supply during the diastole when the heart rests. For an optimal heart function, the heart should spend as little time as possible pumping and as much time as possible resting. That is ideal. But when someone reaches the age of 40, the arteries become somewhat stiffer. When the heart pumps, the wave travels a little too quickly and therefore returns too early in the systole. What happens is that the heart faces an extra wave, an extra pressure loop, which the heart must fight against. In other words, you are battling your own returning wave. The question is, does a person feel this? The answer is no. If you now look at someone who is 80 years old, you will see fairly stiff arteries. When the heart pumps, the wave moves so quickly that the returning wave comes back high in the systole. What happens then is that the original systolic wave is augmented or amplified by the returning wave. The heart spends about 2/3 of its time overcoming this reflected wave and only 1/3 resting and receiving its own blood supply. The heart works harder, rests for a shorter time, and has less time to receive its own blood supply. All of this means that over time, the heart can become overloaded. When that happens, a person may suffer a heart attack or a stroke. Another very important measurement is the central blood pressure. That is the pressure which occurs when blood is pumped directly out of the heart. This central pressure in the aorta is closely related to the stiffness of the arteries. In young people, the difference between the central blood pressure and the brachial or systolic blood pressure, the pressure measured in the upper arm, can be as much as 30 millimeters of mercury. For example, if the brachial pressure is 120 millimeters of mercury, the central blood pressure in a young person might be around 90 millimeters of mercury. Here you can see that the central pressure is lower than the systolic pressure. The arteriograph device we use is the only equipment capable of measuring this central pressure. Standard blood pressure gauges, which doctors and cardiologists typically use, cannot measure this central pressure. But as we age, the central blood pressure and brachial pressure move closer together. The central pressure can even become higher than the systolic pressure. It is very important that the central pressure always remains lower than the brachial pressure. Here you see the values of a 67-year-old individual. Not only is her systolic or brachial blood pressure of 181 millimeters of mercury much too high, this should ideally be around 120 millimeters of mercury, but her central pressure is even above that at 190.1 millimeters of mercury. This is a clear example of someone with a very high risk of heart and vascular damage. Nitric oxide is crucial for clean arteries. As we get older, we lose 85% of our ability to produce nitric oxide. If nothing is done about this plaque buildup, it can rupture or break off, leading to blood clots that can cause a heart attack or a stroke, while narrowed arteries overload the heart, increasing the risk of heart failure. This is how our arteries should look on the inside, even at an older age. Arginine ensures clean and flexible arteries. Arginine is our own exclusive supplement that can clear plaque and restore smoothness to your arteries. We have been selling this for the past 17 years. The price of a jar of Arginine of 450 grams is only €49.50, excluding shipping costs. We ship worldwide.